With less than 2 weeks under his belt, Governor Jeff Landry is beginning his term with an ambitious special session. The 57th governor of Louisiana intends to tackle the redistricting controversy before the clock runs out on January 30th, as well as reform Louisiana's party voting system. LPB's Kara St. Cyr gives you the rundown on the special session taking place this week at the Capitol.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Governor of Louisiana, the Honorable Jeff Landry.
As one of his first acts as Governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry called a special session aimed at redrawing congressional districts, a task lawmakers have labored over for more than a year and a half.
We are here today because the federal courts have ordered us to perform our job. Our job, which is not finished. Our job that our own laws direct us to complete. And our job that our individual oaths promise we would perform. To that end, I ask you to join me in adopting the redistricting maps that are proposed.
Disagreements over the congressional redistricting began back in 2022 when lawmakers drafted a congressional map with only one majority black district of 6 total. John Bel Edwards vetoed the map, calling it an unfair representation of Louisiana's population, which is 33% black.
While I'm disappointed, I can only tell you I would be very much more disappointed had I been complicit in having a map that I think is so unfair and unjust enacted into law.
After a veto override session, a failed special session, and a Supreme Court precedent, lawmakers have until January 30th to draw the map in accordance with the Voting Rights Act, which means providing a second majority black district. Plaintiffs who filed a lawsuit against the current map are optimistic that a map with the additional district will pass without conflict.
So either they're going to do the right thing or not, but we're going to be here in good faith to be able to fight for what we know is right. And much like the governor said, to do the work that they get to do. This is their last chance to have their voices to actually draw this map on behalf of the constituents of the state of Louisiana.
If the map isn't redrawn properly by the deadline, the case will go to trial February 6th and be redrawn by a district judge.
This is about being on the right side of history, and that it doesn't matter what party you're in. You know, like the math is the math. You know, a third of the state is African American. We have 6 congressional districts, so there should be 2.
Senate will come to order.
A new map has already advanced to the House, this time creating a second black majority district that includes a large portion of Baton Rouge through Thibodaux. The proposed map changes Congressman Garrett Graves' district, almost doubling the black population from 23% to 54%. Graves himself opposes the change, which could effectively push him out of office. Yet Louisiana State Senate easily passed it.
Without objection.
Redistricting was the primary reason for this special session, but it's hardly the only high-profile item on the agenda. Landry has proposed changing Louisiana's campaign finance laws, and he wants to alter the way the state selects Supreme Court justices.
Our Supreme Court districts have been redistricted by this legislature only one time in 103 years. The result is that districts are grossly unbalanced, with 2 districts twice as large as another one. Last year, I negotiated a scheduling order with the plaintiffs in one of those cases, allowing the legislature, allowing you all, a chance to willingly handle our own affairs.
But perhaps the second biggest item on the agenda is the shift of the so-called jungle primary.
If you look around, there's probably no perfect way of doing it because so many states have so many different ways of doing elections. We have been in what's called a jungle primary for most of the last 50 years. And we're kind of unique compared to the rest of the country.
Louisiana's jungle primary was established in 1970 under Governor Edwin Edwards' administration. It opens primary elections to all voters, regardless of political orientation. Whichever candidate wins the primary won't need to advance to a runoff to take office. Landry is proposing a closed primary, which means voters can only vote within their party before the runoff in the general election.
I think the argument a lot of voters would make is the system that we have now works pretty well. I can vote for anybody I want to, whether I'm a Republican, Democrat, or no party, and that's just fine with most people, I imagine. The other argument is that it's a party primary, and the parties should be the ones to choose their nominees or their candidates to go on to the general election. So you can kind of argue it either way.
Lawmakers have a short amount of time, just 8 days, to assess all of these major proposals and make decisions that'll have lasting impacts on Louisiana.